the shadows I often see in relationships are the masculine being, or the man often will be in a relationship with someone and then choose someone that doesn't challenge them. So choose, like, just that old story of the secretary, or the young innocent girl who he can lie to and manipulate. And then I think a lot of women have the story of, I'm too strong of a woman, that men don't like me because I know what I want, and they want someone who they can manipulate and boss around. So what do you have to say for someone who feels like, maybe I'm too strong, I'm too successful, I'm too much, men don't want to handle me?
Mm-hmm. I think that, in some cases, everyone's going to encounter people like that. And I have the pleasure of having a husband who works with men day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the secret that there's a lot of men doing the work, and there's a lot of men who are actually on the other side complaining about the same things,
Mm-hmm.
that they can't find a partner who wants to do the work with them, or that their partner isn't meeting them spiritually or emotionally. And I'm blessed to be in the space of seeing men's work happen, unfold in front of my eyes all the time. And, having, 10 men come to my home for a weekend to help with the land, that are all close friends of Ben and for them to just, come in and sit at the table with me and just share their hearts. And so I know that this is a universal human problem, and it's not like men aren't doing the work and women are too powerful. I do notice that this happens for all of us sometimes. We all have to, find a person who's willing to meet us where we're at. And one of the things that I have noticed with people who have that story is that sometimes they come on really intensely, and they're actually not willing to look at any of the ways where they may be repelling people by being like, really, like, you have to take all of me, and like, I'm going to force feed you with my opinions and my ideas and my beliefs. And there's this energy of almost like overpowering the environment. And it's like, well, we have to make space for both people. And when we come into a dynamic where we already believe that we're too much, that's actually an egoic fear. That's a shadow fear. That's not, nobody's too much or not enough, right? That's just the ego. So regardless of if it's too much or not enough, that's not your highest self. That's not love. Right. And so it's like, okay, well, if I were to not be trying to prove myself right now, who would I be? If I weren't trying to be this like empowered boss babe, I make 7 figures and I take on the world, and like my external achievements and status are who I am, how would I show up if none of that mattered? And the truth is that it doesn't, right? And so it's like, how can we just drop in with people and just be human
Mm-hmm.
again? Instead, because even those are like, these are these walls, and we use these stories to defend. So sometimes when we make other people the problem for why we can't connect, we are a little afraid of intimacy. And we're not really saying that. And because we don't even know it, right? And I've been one of those people, so I know this well, because I have all sorts of strategies for defending myself and not showing up in my heart. That was my main MO for many years. So I always just say, take a look at, where are you hiding? Where are you protecting? Where are you defending? And
Mm-hmm.
where are you over identifying with something that's not the truth of your heart?
Totally. And I think it's really used as a protection mechanism, that somewhere in your life you learned that if I don't have me, then no one else will, which there's an element of truth to that and empowerment to that. But then there's that element of, so no man or no person will be able to keep up with me because I'm just too much and too great, and whatever the story is. And it's like, do you want that to continue to be your story? And I see a lot of people out there, men especially, who want to have that challenge. Like you said, they want to have someone they can really talk to, maybe even build a business with, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's just changing the type of person that you're hanging around, that if you're hanging around the same people who you've known since college and you kind of know what they're up to,
Yeah.
you know that category. But there are different types of men, like you said, those doing the men's work, who want a woman who's empowered and living her dharma and it's inspirational. With my husband, I met him, I had no money, I was like a blogger, and he's kind of seen me like build this massive career and all of these things. And I've asked him, I'm like, does it ever intimidate you? Or do you ever, miss the old me that didn't have, he's like, no, why would I miss that? He's like, you're in your power, you're inspiring. He's like, I love it. It inspires me. So it's
Mm,
like people like that do exist. It's just, are
mhm.
we finding them?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why qualifying is so important, right? And
Mhm.
in my book, I talk a lot about core values. What is it that you value? And so when we're qualifying and choosing people to spend time with or to date based on core values, it becomes very clear very quickly whether or not this is somebody we want to explore with.
Mhm.
And so it's again, it always comes back to how well we actually know ourselves. Like we can be really successful in the material world and not really have a clue who we actually are. Right. And so then, I see a lot of people who are very successful. Like I have friends who, they make like $500 million a year and they want a relationship, but they cannot seem to make relationships work. And, there's success in the material world. And then there's really anchoring into our hearts. And that has to be its own journey. And the other stuff is kind of irrelevant. Like it doesn't really matter. Like who are you and what do you want and what makes you feel at home and alive and safe and energized. Those are the things that we want to consider when we're looking for a partner.